This story, called The Quest, is in the form of an odyssey. The protagonist, whose name is Siridean, that name is the Gaelic equivalent of Sheridan, which means in English a seeker. The story is told in verse. The Quest. In days of yore and in the land of Gales lived a young man, Siridean by name. And tall he was and handsome, and the swain of young Amata, maid of 15 springs. A full 3 years more younger than was he. Amata was a beauty, there's no doubt, and slim she was, with eyes blue as the skies, and tresses chestnut dark, that when Siridean should gaze on her, his heart would leap in joy, and almost break the bondage of his breast. Truly they were in love, and longed to see the day in marriage they would wedded be. The parents of Amata disagreed. She is too young, they said, and made a plan to separate the lovers, ere the day when they might plight their troths, the one to t'other. The parents prayed with fervour that the gods might intercede and act on their behalf to disunite the pair. And so they made a sacrifice of oxen and of sheep, an incentive to propitiate the gods. The gods heard their petition, and did place a dream into Siridean one night, that urged him to seek out his earthly path from a soothsayer in the forest glade of ancient stones and gnarled cedar trees, where fairies also tread. When he awoke, Siridean, sore troubled in his mind, did hie himself unto the fairy dell. There he met the soothsayer, an old crone, advanced in years and wrinkled, and he said, I am sore troubled, for I had a dream that urged me to seek out thine advice on how to seek contentment in my life. This ancient intercessor twixt the gods and mortal men, already did she know what answer she would give unto the swain, and to Siridean responded thus: Siridean, O thou must leave this land and travel to the farthest northern climes, to seek, for as a searcher thou art named, the maiden graced with hair of purest gold. For only when thou findest her, your heart will fill with peace. Then, only then, shalt thou find true love and contentment of thy soul for all thy days. So leave Amata now. Today the wind blows strongly at thy back. Make haste, tomorrow's wind may not be kind. For when the gods smile down, do not delay. They may not favour you another day. So heavy-hearted leaves Siridean, forsaking hearth and home and kith and kin, and dear Amata. Can it really be, thinks he, that she is not the one for me? Am I mistaken, youthful callow man, who loves this dark-haired beauty with his heart? Am I, who never glanced at tresses fair, am I destined to find another love? Unlikely though that seems, and if I fail to chance upon she whom the gods require, must I in loneliness spend out my life? No comfort by my side when life decrees, discontent must cloud my happy days. No son or heir to carry on my name, forgotten shall be poor Siridean, his name wiped from the chronicle of life, with neither friend nor lover, neither wife. Siridean hastes to leave the Isle of Gales before the wind should unpropitious turn. He bids to his true love farewell with tears, anticipating sad and lonely years. Into his bark he climbs, and sets his sails for Pictic lands. He leaves the land of Gales. Then said Amata, love is gone away, forsaken by Siridean am I. I to the house of virgins shall repair, and there remain till death doth take his prize, lest I be claimed and taken for a wife by one for whom my heart would e'er be cold. No other man shall gaze upon my form, my loveless form, unless, oh dare I hope, Siridean shall one blessed day return, and join with me in body as of heart. Till then unvisited my womb shall be, my tresses all unwashed shall wildly fly, and ashes shall my countenance deface, as one in mourning, as in truth I'll be. Amata is my name, love signifying, yet all my days will teach the sound of sighing. Siridean now travels on the sea. His bark he points northeastward to the land of Picts. Yet so hard is the trial he must face, that he no lodestone beareth for his task. No token holdeth he, and he must ask advice of strangers. Dost thou know forsooth where I might find a maid with golden hair, that she might be my consort and my wife, as I have been instructed by the gods? And so Siridean begins his search. As lonely doth he traipse from town to town, village to village, always with his eye attuned for maidens graced with golden hair, in field, in marketplace, at village fair. Yet in the land of Picts, to his dismay, the fair-haired maids who happen in his way all seem to have a curious defect. Of countenance is speckled, they call freckles. What is this dermal suffering, he asks? Perhaps some form of leprosy. He's told, around these parts it's seen in boys and maids, no cause for worry. But Siridean thinks these girls be diseased, or even worse, that they might be afflicted with a curse. At any rate, the thought's clear in his head. They're not the sort of girls he'd take to bed. For how could man's love survive such stains that mark his deepest soul, and I his reins? Despairing, he of local lairds inquires where else he might carry on his search. Far to the north, they tell him, they believe, are lasses, graced with tresses passing fair, that verily it seemeth that their hair does seem to alloy silver into gold. On where might they be found, inquireth he. Across the northern sea, comes the reply. Their kin are called the Norsemen, but they speak a tongue most passing strange to Pict or Gael. They also add the northern sea is found upon the eastern shore of Pictic lands. Requireth it a walk of many weeks to cross. The journey is set by mounts high, and with peril twixt the west and east. Besides, they add, ye needs must find ere ye part a sailor captain of the greatest art, to take you there, because the northern sea is infamous for storms and treachery. From overcoming cold and wet and gale, weeks later he achieves the eastern shore, whose rocks combine in colour with grey clouds that overhang the landscape just like shrouds. He takes his passage on a boat with sails, with crewmen's faces grizzled from their trade. They view him with disdain at judgment and refer to him as lubber of the land. But, passage paid, he on their craft alights, and stows his meagre chattels in the hold. His voyage sets out calm on glassy sea, but soon the winds spring up into a storm. The sailboat pitches and the ocean waves rise over them to terrifying height. Siridean gets the sickness of the sea. He vomits all his food into its depths, and deeply groaning wishes he might follow. The sailors laugh, they find it quite a joke, and say, don't worry, nothing is amiss. A real ocean storm's much worse than this. At last the wind dies down, and what a sight! Like fingers, narrow bays they call fjords, cut into mountains, glistening with ice, despite the sunny summer with its light, so long there almost seems to be no night. When they put into shore, Siridean resumes his quest for tresses of pure gold. But in this land the young girls are so fair of skin and hair upon their heads that most of them look less like maidens, more like ghosts. To marry one of them, forsooth, thinks he, would surely on his line ill-omened be, should ghostly babes deliver from their loins and fright their kin and neighbours to the quick. Another failure. Siridean's bereft. What should he do now to fulfil his quest? Yet how can he forget Amata, love of his life, whom he would take to wife? Again he seeks advice from those at hand, who tell him to the south there is a land, the land of Danes, it's called, where lasses dwell, it's said with deeper coloured tresses, like fire from the sun that sets at e'en. To travel there thou needest to take passage across the sea of bolts, but do not fear, unlike the northern sea it's short and calm. A mere few hundred leagues from shore to shore, less than a full day's journey, nothing more. Arrived in Daneland, Siridean doth find hair of their maids more cuprous than of gold, as he's been told, like setting sun at e'en, unlike the hue of burnished disk at noon. The Danish men wear helmets decked with horns, and scowling, armed with daggers and with swords, they greet Siridean with angry words. They snarl at him and threaten separation twixt head and body of our ill-starred swain. But in a spell of gentler disposition, they help him with his quest, and they suggest he leave their land and travel further south, where women called Brunhildas can be found. Their hair, they say, is golden like ripe corn. Siridean leaves before they wax unkind and separate his body from his mind. Arriving where he's told Brunhildas live, he finds them on the strand to left and right, spread out upon the sand without a stitch of clothing. It must be some rite, he thinks, of worship of the sun. But he does spy, that though like golden corn their tresses be, their figuration quite offends his sense. Unlike his dear Amata, all of these have mighty thunderous thighs that could with ease emasculate a man with just one squeeze, and Herculean buttocks like an ox, but 10 times even worse, and here he shudders, colossal breasts that make him think of udders. Alas, Siridean says, for I have failed. The gods sent me to task to find a mate, and then to reach contentment all my days. But I have found no golden tressed maid, and every day Amata stays my love. Did I give up too quickly to my shame, he asks, then only I can take the blame. Perhaps, although I doubt, my love still waits, and if not, then my love's not found but lost, forever, and my life is at its end. Oh, woe is me, whose curse the gods did send. So to the land of Gales must I return, admitting to the failure of my quest, and so with that he turneth to the west. Through many footsore weeks he makes the trek across the land of Gauls, until at last he reaches where land ends, and ocean vast is all he sees, whereat 'tis time again to venture on the sea. This time he sails to home, his ancestral Isle of Gales. One night abed, Amata has a dream, a reverie so real that she doth wake with hotly fevered frame. For she had seen, through eyes of sleep, Siridean. Her love has sent a dove, the bird of love, and in its beak no olive branch, but note that says, weep thou no longer, for I for thee am done with travelling, and will soon be free. With haste she covers her with cloak and shoe, and running through the early morning dew to reach the fairy dell, and there doth call the name of the oracular old crone. Come quickly, I please, I prithee, for I doth sore need thy counsel on a case of love. The crone appears, and straightway saith she, methinks the information thou dost seek concerns the love thou hast who went away. I can respond most favourably to thee. Siridean is going to return, and when he doth, thy fealty is thus, to take him for thy husband, and of this a token of thy love will come to light, so he will know thee as the one he sought, these long and lonely years away. Now go. When cometh he to thee, without a doubt or hesitation, know what thou must do. For he is man, and thou art woman, more. Thou art the one he dreamed of through the years. 'Twas for thee he longed, as far and wide he travelled, all alone in chastity. So be not modest, maiden, be no more, for thou lovest him, and he doth thee adore. At once she washeth off her ashed face, also her chestnut tresses, so that they might gleam with cleansed freshness, thus to say, look on me, I no more in mourning am, because my dearest love Siridean is coming home to take me in his wife, and that day will be happiest of my life. So cometh her Siridean to home, to kith and kin and to Amata dear, and as she sees him leaps her heart within her breast, and he with adoration in his eyes, as first espieth he her lovely form, Amata, O Amata, crieth he, and open armed to her runs in haste. I searched just as the oracle required, but never once had I forgotten thee. Perhaps misspoke the oracle, may be, there never was a golden tressed girl to be my consort, O my dark-haired love. Siridean, saith she, I have been true, and lonely all these years as thou hast too. I bid thee come to me this very eve, that of my love thou truly shalt believe. She leads him to her chamber, falls her cloak from shoulders milky fair, and underneath the nothing is but comeliness so rare, that gasps Siridean at what he sees by light of candle and ingressing moon. He gazeth at her eyes blue as the skies, and her lovely face, her sweeting lips, turned upwards in the inkling of a smile, and framed with tresses long and chestnut dark, then past her slender neck to milk-white breasts, pert, small and round, exquisite to behold. Then further yet to belly pale and fair, and with a contrast perfect to remark, her triangle with hair all tangled dark. Look farther down, beloved, saith she, and there to his amazed eyes behold a single pubic hair of purest gold, coiled upward, standing proud above her kin, and guarding like a sentry love's approach. Realization dawns. His love Amata, his dearest all along, she was his quest. Thus all his journeyings had been as naught. A single hair of purest gold he sought. And as he lay transfixed at the sight, from Eros came a gift of pure delight. Into his nostrils wafted such a scent that he could scarce believe it to be true, of musk, exotic spice from far-off lands, with hints of incense coming and of myrrh, rose from her nether regions like a cloud, an ardent fragrance she herself endowed. And then she took in hand, and as he did watch that golden strand, and plucked it from her crotch, she pressed it to his lips. It seemed as if her pubic meadow glowed with golden light, and he was filled with wonder at the sight. Siridean, quoth she, now is the time I waited, so it seems for half my life. Come into me, my love, and make me wife. Siridean, my dear one, don't delay, for thou hast been from me too long away. Then lieth Amata with Siridean, most gently as they consummate their love, their bodies in exquisite harmony. The years of mutual longing dissipate just as a dream on waking flees away. But as a storm can blow up in a trice, so passion came upon our paramours, till good Siridean's tide came to full flood. And as seas breach the sturdiest sea walls, and rivers burst the confines of their banks, so did the flood erupt Siridean. And later, as they in fulfilment lay, Amata told her newly minted spouse, like thee I visited the fairy dell and spoke with the old crone. She told me thus, Siridean, thy lover will return. 'Tis thee that he has yearned for all the years. On him this test the gods did lay upon. And if by searching far and wide for love, and since if chaste and faithful he remained, then as he found no golden tressed love in distant lands, of this thou canst be sure, he loves thee now and will for evermore. So now, my dearest, love me once again. And so they did, till finally they slept, full sated they with love, until the moon dipped lower than their window sill, the light of candle quenched, they slept the rest of night. When morning came and stars dissolved in dawn, and birds in joyful song did greet the morn, they lay together, arms and legs entwined in deep contentment. Then Amata said, tell me about your journeyings the years you were away. You must have much to tell, the many sights you've seen. I long, my love, to hear these exploits. So Siridean said, truly all my tale would be too long to tell thee now, so I will say it brief as in the tiny shell of hazelnut. Then he began to tell her of his quest, how in the land of Pix there were lasses fair, 'twas true, but suffered from disfigurement, a leprositic curse that they had been sent. Then in the land of Norsemen all the girls had such pale skins, and likewise of their curls, they seemed like ghosts, and any gale would fright, the think to sleep like one like them at night. And there Siridean began the tale of how he journeyed to the land of Danes, with hair not golden but a fiery red, and menfolk fierce and angry, so he fled. And then much further south unto the land, where lived Brunhilders, having hair like corn, full ripened, but he had to tell his lover their figuration was not his druthers. To spare her blushes, he left out the bits about their thighs and buttocks and their tits. So now we reach the end of this our tale. Amata and Siridean found love as they had truly yearned for all along. It was a love delayed but not denied, and though the gods did seem to acquiesce to parents of Amata and to sever her from the man she loved, 'twas not forever. The lovers too were fated to at last unite when tribulations were all past. Amata summed it up when thus she spoke: "This night our mutual love has been fulfilled. Truly the gods have given us their grace to consecrate our union. May we live happy and long till we are full of years, together in our joys and in our tears. Until we o'er the river needs must cross, the gods, I do declare, restored our loss." And so they vowed, no matter what, that never, none from the other one their love might sever.